Welcome to my Block 3 video. This is of course a continuation of my Pathfinder Phase 1 self-study video series that I'm doing. It is a different format. Anybody who's seen the other ones will recognize right away. Basically, this time around I'm just going through what I actually turn in, or what I actually email off to the person doing the grading over at the Pathfinder school. So this is I guess this is kind of a pretty typical example compared to the other two that I turned in. So I just try to make it look professional. They don't really give you much guidance as to what exactly they want to see. So I just try to make it a professional, decent looking uh, college paper, I guess, basically. So I got a little cover page, of course, typical formatting. I stick what it is that they've asked me to do kind of here at the beginning, just as a reminder for myself as I'm doing it, and I think it kind of helps them to kind of look around at it too. So in this case, bleeding and burns is what the module covers. It gives you two exercises to do, which are just research and logging. This is very common in there in the course, and then the deliverable, which is kind of weird. It's just a photocopy of your notes rather than you actually writing a page about what you learned and kind of going through the whole thing. So it seems it's really weird uh, for me just to take a picture of the notes that I wrote longhand in this notebook, and then that's like what you turn in. So it feels really strange, but it is what they're asking for, and I've already turned this in, and I've gotten a pass. I guess it's just a pass fail you get. And he said, I did good. So this works, I guess. And here it is. I'm actually using the Pathfinder branded like field notebook, right in the rain sort of thing. So it's smaller than like your typical three-ring binder sort of paper. So you really, there isn't a lot of notes that are going to fit on it. I guess, I mean, it could go over into 2 pages, but here I'm actually using a Tilton Wilderness First Responder book, which goes into more detail on this bleeding control. So, um, if you're just using the included Wilderness First Aid book, I don't even think you'd have this many notes because it didn't really go into, um, well, it certainly didn't go into more detail than the first responder book did. So it seems like there's not a lot to put down even in a smaller format page like this is. Um, so here's over burns again. This one actually here, I was trying to cite my stuff. I do have a references page at the end. This was the actual from the Pathfinder Wilderness First Aid book. Um, so I'm using two different sources for this guy. And here, deliverable 11, uh, you're applying the pressure dressing to yourself. I suppose I could have made a video over this, but it wouldn't have really been worth it. So this was a pretty easy one. Again, I'm trying to keep it to what I'm actually carrying in my Pathfinder kit, which is pretty stripped down. So of course, the cargo tape and cotton, which is two of his 10 C's. And in this case, simulating I got some sort of cut on my forearm, and I sort of wadded up a hopefully clean. This is just like a black bandana, and as you can sort of read here, I go into much more. Really, all I had to do was provide a picture of what I did, but that just seems like not enough. So I ended up writing, this little paragraph exactly, what I did, how you kind of might want to clean it by flushing and blah, yada yada yada. So there, I tried to make it a little bit show that I had a little bit more understanding than was required just by simply submitting a photo of this pressure dressing. And if you're wondering why this isn't wrapped all the way around, I do go in here. This doesn't stretch. So if you were to just wrap this around your arm as a pressure dressing, then you potentially have a loss of circulation beyond that. especially if maybe for some reason your arm starts to swell. If you just had like an elastic, ace bandage sort of thing, that would be fine. Just wrap it all the way around the arm. But in this case, no, you don't want that. So like halfway, maybe two-thirds around the extremity is kind of what you want for this application. And continuing on, and we're asked about bites and stings. Again, very typical. Research and log some herbs. And strangely, they only want a photocopy of one of them, even though they're supposed to research and log two. And the other ones were the same too, like with the bleeding. They only wanted you to show the page for one of the ways to control bleeding. So here, of course, it's insect stings. I kind of give, I just basically how to clean the insect sting, and then herbal treatment. In this case, again, I'm trying to keep it very germane. I live in Colorado, so we do have plantain. Well, plantains everywhere, really, but I tried to, pick an herbal treatment that, I actually have around here. And this is, and you can find this in your lawn, and I actually transplanted some I found in the woods when I was doing some camping, car camping, and I transplanted it back to my sort of edible natives garden. So I got some plantain growing right outside my front door now. But anyway, another picture of the log page. Continuing on, um, research and log the field treatment for venomous snake bites, and as usual, give me a photocopy of the log pages. So really, there's not a lot even to say about the snake bites. Um, so you can see it's only like really a half page of notes, and this is from the Pathfinder provided Wilderness First Aid book. So continuing on. So here's one that was kind of cool. You have to research and log 3 mechanical injuries, research and log improvised bandages and splints, and then you got to put yourself in a leg splint, which even though I've had plenty of medical, like sort of first aid medical training, and I've never actually had to apply a splint to myself, especially on a leg. So this is kind of awkward, um, but it was a fun exercise. So again, you only had to supply a photo, which if I was going to go out there and do this, I try to supply a little series, and I gave some explanations just to sort of feel like it just feels like they're not asking to give enough um, information back. Just supplying one photo, it just doesn't feel like I'm doing enough, I guess. So, I try to go above and beyond what they're actually asking. But there is a stick size split, so they'll kind of fit against my leg. I padded it up. I do have like this. It's called a jungle blanket, and I hang it off the back of my Pathfinder kit as an extra cover. So there it is. I've sort of um, wrapped the injured area, which of course you want to do just to sort of keep like the rubbing of the sticks at bay. And if you had more clothing, you could just actually wrap the entire leg up, and just wrapping it up, and even if it's just fabric, it's kind of putting things under compression, and it's kind of giving a little bit of stability. At least that's the way Knowles teaches it. But in this case, it's really kind of just to keep things from rubbing and injuring the leg, and keeping it warm, of course, because it's um, not really that warm outside. So there I am. I'm beginning to wrap my stick up in my other shemagh here, and there I am. So I've got both ends of the splint. Or I got a splint here, wooden splint there. The ends are wrapped up, so again, it's not going to scratch or tear anything. And then I've got that sort of like slung around the bottom of my leg, and I'm just using my cordage here to tie it up. And you can sort of see that's what it looks like from the side. Um, and yeah, it fit pretty good. Um, I tried walking around. This is supposed to be like a lower leg fracture. So realistically, you're not going to be walking around, and so I didn't. Um, I didn't really create it as a walking splint because these things would slide down. But I did try to walk around it a little bit, and it did work good at keeping the leg immobilized. So this is, pretty decent example, I feel. And then down here, there's some blister information. Looks like I pulled it from the WFR book and the WFA book. And then I got this very short bibliography showing the two books I used. So that's what I turn in. I hope that wasn't too long-winded. And I will say that to date, I really have got almost no feedback from the Pathfinder course. The first two modules, when I turned them in, I did not get an acknowledgement like that they were received and that I passed. Now, since then, they've swapped out examiner, and we have a new guy who's doing the grading. When I turned this in a couple weeks ago, it was like maybe a week later, I got a response back from him saying, hey, good job, you passed. Um, and I asked him, in response, hey, could you just double check that my first two modules, like whether they were received and they passed? And he said he would. So hopefully he does check. I haven't heard back since, and that's been a good week. So that's kind of just a get. I know in online classes, I've taken them in college, and there's a lot less feedback obviously than sitting in a classroom and actually like talking to someone. But it sure seems like they could do better than like almost no feedback. Because this is really all you get to see, and especially when you're asking for so little, just like, hey, give me a photocopy of your log, or give me a photocopy, or just a one picture of what it is you did. It just seems like there should be like more comments that you'd get back about, or maybe my paper was just so wonderful that they really didn't have anything to say. But I just sort of get the feeling that there just isn't. There should be like more interaction between you and the person doing the grading. So anyway, that's my comments. I'm probably going to do a very similar video for block 4 because it's more or less the same format. That one is mostly done. I don't know if I'll finish it this weekend or not and turn it in. But thanks for watching along. And if you're considering taking this course, I hope I'm helping you with that decision, either pro or con. So later.